G'day everyone and welcome to this week's Trade with Precision free newsletter. Today I want to do a bit of a market update for you, but I think it's also a really good opportunity for you to ask yourself, am I trading a wide enough range of markets? At Trade with Precision, we strongly encourage people to look across a wide range of markets, and this week is a classic example of why we say that. Now, if you were just to focus on, for example, trading the mini Dow or the mini S&P, this week would have been pretty tough for you. Very choppy conditions, not going anywhere at all. It's during those periods that I find a lot of people get chopped up in the mess and lose a lot of money. What you really need to do, which we're big believers of, is look across a range of markets. So you could look across the commodities, you could look across the index futures, you could look at individual stocks, you can then also look at the foreign exchange markets. If you look across all of those markets, you're bound to find a couple of markets that are trending well and are going to be presenting good opportunities. And I think that really will increase a lot of people's trading profits and their success rate if they were to do that. I think too many people become too pigeonholed and just become too focused on too few markets, and then when the conditions aren't good in that market, they still just try and hit their head against a brick wall, essentially trying to trade what I can consider pretty poor conditions. So just to prove my point here, looking at the YM on the weekly, we can see we've been pushing up into an uptrend, making some high highs and high lows. We've had a bit of a pullback right now, but it still looks like we've turned around and getting quite bullish on the weekly. On the daily, however, we've formed our first lower low, and we seem to be in a sort of treading water right now. Potentially could be pushing back up, but we're at a bit of a tipping point. We're really not sure what's going to happen at this point, if we're going to push up higher and continue up to these old highs, or roll on over and push down to the previous lows here. Now if I come and have a look at the midterm time frames, like the 240 here, look at this, it's going sideways. The last 3 or 4 days sideways, and the 60 is even more evident, very sideways. You can't trade in that. Well, I think it's very hard to trade in that. I'm sure people have got strategies that they can trade in that chop, but for most people that I've met, the easiest way to make money is in trending markets. And so if we have a look at, for example, the S&P, just wait for this to come up. Very similar. So in the weekly, looks a little bit messy. We've got fairly equal highs in the weekly, but we're still making higher lows at this point. On the daily, similar to the YM, has pushed down and formed our first lower low, and we've still got this higher high up here. So we're not really in an uptrend or a downtrend at this point, waiting to see what's going to happen. Coming and look at the 240 and the 60, very similar to the YM, just messy sideways actions. Both of those just very difficult to trade. Now if we were to go to maybe and then have a look, say, at some of the forex pairs, say we go and have a look at US Swissy. So on the Swissy here, we've had this big push up and then has sold off hard. Very choppy on the weekly, daily, very choppy and sideways. Looking at the 240 and the 60, again, very sideways, Had a bit of a breakout here on the 60, but very hard to trade that, not ideal. So I'm not liking that one at all. The CAD is in a very similar field as the Swissy. Weekly, very sideways, stuck in this tight trading range. Daily, stuck in this very tight trading range. Now if you were just focusing trying to trade one or either of these pairs as well, again you'd be having very difficult time in trading. Now what I want to show you is maybe you've never considered trading the E-minis, sorry, not the E-minis, the mini gold or mini silver. So if we have a look at the mini gold here, now we're getting a nice trend here. Look at this weekly chart, making nice high highs and high lows as we're pushing up. We had some divergence coming in here on the indicators, which has probably played out a fair bit as this is pulled back into these moving averages here, and now looks like it could be pushing higher. On the daily, we've had this decent sell-off that you could see on the weekly, and it's now started to make higher highs and higher lows. But it's starting to trend quite nicely on the daily, getting a little bit overextended from the averages, so we could be looking for a little bit of a snapback over the next few days, and that comes a little bit more evident when you come down to the 240 here. The 240 have had a very, very good run up, and it probably is due a bit of a pullback. And that's quite evident on the 60. We've got some big divergence coming on the 60. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this pull back to these old highs here at about 1220 or even further on, before then continuing on its way. But see, still with this, over the last 3 or 4 days when you had no movement and it was really difficult to trade on the index futures, you had some beautiful opportunities here on gold. Silver hasn't been as good. Silver's been a little bit choppy as well. So this is the mini silver. So the weekly in an uptrend, but definitely started to go sideways of late, and the daily quite sideways. Looked like it was going to be pushing down and making lower lows and lower highs. And we're going to get a breakdown, but recently has pushed up, has made a higher high and a higher low, and is looking strong to the upside. So I'm still bullish there on silver. Coming to these lower time frames, you can see we've had a nice run over the last 3 or 4 days on silver. Some good opportunities on the 240 and 60 of silver. So by looking and opening your markets that you trade, you can trade them in exactly the same fashion. All the strategies we trade, we apply them exactly the same. A chart's a chart. It doesn't matter what you're looking at. Now, if we have a look at some of my favorite pairs here on the forex markets right now, there are some good of the major pairs. Looking through, there's some good ones that are trending quite well. So we've got the Aussie here, has been pushing up strongly on the weekly, has pulled back to this old support level, found support, and has bounced up nicely. And you can see that here on the daily, has come back down to old support, bounced up, and hopefully it's going to be it looks like it should be pushing higher. Now on the 240, we were getting lower lows and lower highs, but it looks like with a bit of divergence coming in here, we might have found a bottom. If this can push up and make a higher high compared to this high, I can really see this pushing on strongly. And you can see there too on the 60, we've put in our first couple higher lows on the 60, and it looks like we could be pushing up. So I do like the Aussie. I think right now there's nothing setting up at this exact point in time, but I think there is some good opportunities there. Hopefully over the next few days, if it can hold these higher levels. So have a look at the euro. Euro had this massive sell-off over the last, start of this year, but has rallied quite hard over the last couple of months. We had this big sell-off last week, but right now it's come down. You can see here on the daily, it seems to have found a bit of support and maybe pushing higher. Time will tell with this one, with the euro. We've got this nice divergence coming here on the 60. You can see these lower lows forming on the price, but the higher lows in the MACD, and that has definitely pushed up a reasonable amount here. Can this push higher? Who knows? Again, I think this is at a reasonable tipping point here on the euro. Now the pound, I quite like the pound. I think the pound's probably in a better position right now than the euro, and it looks like to me it could definitely still go higher. So on the weekly, we've pushed up, we've made a clear higher high. Now we've retraced a little bit, and we're hoping it's going to find some support there and push on higher. On the daily, getting nice higher highs and higher lows. Had a pretty decent pullback here, but that's okay. It still has only pulled back into this buy zone. There's no divergence to speak of on the indicators, and I think this definitely could keep pushing higher. Now on the 240 and the 60, obviously because of that pullback, the decent pullback it's had over the last few days, we have been in lower lows and lower highs, but we're starting to get some divergence here on these indicators, pushing up, making a higher high, and we can really see that on the 60 as well. We've just made a higher high and a higher low, so I'm very bullish there on the pound. Now the Kiwi is a little bit messy. I might just skip over that. The charts aren't looking too good right now, but that's another example. The charts aren't looking good. Let's not even worry about it. Let's focus on those charts that are looking good. Now the yen's an interesting one. The yen's come down to these weekly support level, and the big number around 86. And it's interesting to see, it's sort of just nudged through that, but it's still holding around that area quite well. We're getting this divergence on the daily charts. And there's a lot of talk right now in the press about will the Japanese central bank step in and the government step in to to stop this massive rise that we're seeing right now in the yen. Obviously, as the yen appreciates, it hurts Japan's export industry. Therefore, people are thinking, is that going to happen? Now, we are seeing this divergence on this daily. And on the 240, we've got this strong three waves down divergence as well. So even though I don't like those charts right now for any trades, and I'm in two minds of what's going to happen, I think it's an interesting situation. Will there be intervention by the Japanese government? If they do, will that have any effect whatsoever? The charts are pointing to that potentially it could be finding support and going higher. So just one that I've got on my radar, but right now, nothing really setting up. So that gives you a bit of a review of what I'm seeing this week and how I'm seeing things going forward. And if you are just focusing on one or two markets, and right now those markets are very choppy, well, maybe have a look at the foreign exchange markets, maybe have a look at commodities, open up the markets you look at, and what I believe, focus on trying to find charts with optimal chart structure that are trending nicely and picking out the best opportunities you can. You only need to find 2 or 3 opportunities a week and you can make yourself a very healthy return. Okay, so just quickly before I go, I just want to tell you about our free trading webinar series we've got happening right now. We've got 4 different topics here. There's a number of dates. So just log on to our Trade with Precision webpage, go up to where it says free webinars, click on there and you can register to attend any of those free webinars that you want. If you can't attend those, they are always recorded and we can send you the recording as well. Also, we've got our Trade with Precision Facebook page. Please check it out. Please become a fan and follow it. We'd love to see everyone's comments on there. There's some photos of a recent fundraising event we attended in New Zealand. Lots of good photos of there of all the team there having a great time. So do check that out as well. Okay, have a great day. I hope you enjoyed that presentation. I hope it helps you moving forward, and I'll speak to you again next week.